I think it's about courage right now. I think this last year, what the enemy has tried to add to the reality that we faced was to rob the church of courage, to
Mm.
get us to step back a little bit, hesitate a little bit, not sure if we can do this, do that. Everything's a little muffled, a little masked, right? And some of it's practical, but we cannot let spiritual hesitation in the door. We cannot let spiritual sitting back in the door. We have to stay full of courage. So I feel this transition between 2020 and 2021 is about gaining courage for the word of the Lord.
Let's talk about YWAM. So I mentioned earlier that you've been with YWAM for 21 years, and we know that due to circumstances, a lot of things have looked different for a lot of people this year. So what does that look like for YWAM? I know you guys are, usually traveling all around the world to spread the gospel, but how has that changed in 2020?
Yeah, it's a great question. And mostly what has changed is our short-term missions. YWAM has about 1,600 operating locations in 190 nations that are permanent. So all of those just continue. And they've been able to be a huge part of the solution to their community's crisis. It's been much more localized, their impact and their reach. And they're, like I said, they're in 190 countries, so they're all over the world. But here in Kona, we are training and sending hundreds of students every 3 months and sending them to every continent and some of the least reached places in the world. But that, of course, had to stop in 2020 because of all that's going on. So
Right.
we've redirected actually, and we have about 350 students here right now, which is smaller than usual because of all of our restrictions. But we're sending all of them on a national tour across America, and we're doing 250 living room stops. So the backyards, living
I'm
rooms,
getting goosebumps.
small gatherings. And we have 25 teams that will scatter across the whole nation, Alaska included. And we'll just be meeting with small groups and living rooms, catalyzing simple obedience, worshiping and praying together. We just refuse to stop taking ground. And we saw it as a real divine reset to focus on America in this season and the great need for breakthrough in America. We are in a battle over the soul of the nation right now. And I think that it is localized around the heart and the mind of Generation Z and young millennials. So we're sending these teams out for the next 2 months to scatter across the nation to about 250 living rooms to activate, encourage, worship, and pray together, and call them into local impact to make a difference for the crisis of their own communities.
So cool.
Absolutely incredible. Let's talk a little bit about the Send. I know
Okay.
that you're very involved in the Send. The Send excites me so much. I love since the last Send in Florida. Truly, I have seen across the internet and all over a true war on inactiveness, especially among the younger generations. It is so powerful how God is stirring and moving in so many hearts and for what he's doing. I know that at the beginning of the year, you guys had the opportunity to do the Send in Brazil.
Yes, yeah, it was wild. Brazil was astounding. 3 simultaneous stadiums on the same day, and 100,000 missional commitments
Come
to
on.
local high schools, universities, the orphan crisis, the nations of the earth. And then a month later, we find ourselves in this unique situation. And so we, of course, had to reschedule some of what we had planned. We were planned to be in Kansas City in the fall, Argentina in the fall. And so we spent all of these last months in prayer, asking God for a fresh word, believing that our goal is not just to get back to normal. Normal's over. Our goal is to have more faith for 2021 than we had for 2020. This isn't about a recovery plan. This is about taking new ground, new territory. What is God doing to redeem everything that the enemy has tried to do? And how much more is he about to pour out his spirit on the nation and the nations of the earth? So we are heading with full confidence into 2021. that this is a significant year for America and for the nations of the earth. John 20:21, as the Father has sent me, so I send you. And we are praying for a divine, heavenly sending movement over America. So we are rumbling forward in faith for Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. We have a date, June 12th, which is kind of on the border of risky. But we have a backup plan. If we're unable to gather in the stadium, we will gather in the massive parking lot outside. And right now, the stadium is as well telling us, let's keep moving forward as if we're going to be able to do this. So June 12th, 2021, Arrowhead Stadium is the loudest stadium in the whole world. It's been the loudest decibel recording in a stadium is in Arrowhead. And we're gathering to believe for the largest sound of go that has ever been heard in history. And so we've set our sights on Kansas City with great faith. The promises and the prophecies over that stadium, over that city, over 20 years of day and night worship and prayer from IHOP Kansas City, the collaboration that's growing and forming around the nation where people just want the kingdom and they care far less about the credit. I think that this circumstances have served to break some of our ambition that is man-made ambition, human ambition, and has led us into an even greater zeal with godly ambition to believe that we must see America encounter Jesus again. And we must see a missions movement out of America like we have never seen before. It is time to see these lines of the Great Commission crossed that have never been crossed in history. Now is the time to do it. And in America, now is the time to wage war over the heart, the mind, and the soul of the next generation. We feel there's a 5-year window over America right now, and we are pressing with everything in us towards that. At the same time, we look at Argentina in the fall of 2021, and we have our eyes on Europe in early 2022, as well as another major campaign for America in 2022. So we're moving at full speed with full confidence that God is longing to move in America and release his presence in an unprecedented way.
What do you feel like God is saying and doing specifically right now at the end of 2020 as we are approaching 2021?
Yeah, I think it's about courage right now. I think this last year, what the enemy has tried to add to the reality that we faced was to rob the church of courage, to get us to step back a little bit, hesitate a little bit, not sure if we can do this, do that. Everything's a little muffled, a little masked, right? And some of it's practical, but we cannot let spiritual hesitation in the door. We cannot let spiritual sitting back in the door. We have to stay full of courage. So I feel this transition between 2020 and 2021 is about gaining courage for the word of the Lord. We need to, like Jonathan and his armor bearer, it's time to take the Philistine garrison. It's time to take everything the enemy has tried to steal. It's an hour for Joshua and Caleb to go into the promised land. It's not a question of whether he's promised it. It's just a question of whether we'll believe the promise. And we need Joshua and Caleb's who will look at headlines, who will look at statistics and data and say, none of those matter. I have a word of the Lord, and he has promised us this land, and he has promised spiritual awakening. He has promised a 1 billion soul harvest. He's promised that every tribe, tongue, and nation will worship before the throne. And we need Joshua and Caleb to rise up in courage and move on the word of the Lord. I think that's the season we're in right now.
Hey guys, Roxanne Grace here. Thank you guys so much for watching Dream's YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single conversation or new music from Dream. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit the like and notification buttons and share this video with a friend who needs to hear it. Oh, and don't forget, you can subscribe and listen to the conversation anywhere podcasts are available. Thanks for watching.